I still remember the exact second I realized my own blood would rather watch me drown than throw me a rope. If it meant saving my sister first. I'm Harper, and that moment came the night I asked for $80,000 to launch my logistics SaaS, Nexus route. I had a live beta, 3 signed LOIs from mid-sized trucking firms begging for the full build, and a pitch deck so tight it made investors lean in. My parents listened for 6 minutes, then my dad said, "Sounds like gambling," and went back to his phone. My mom added, "You're safe where you are, sweetheart. Don't be reckless." I flew home to Denver with the same hollow chest I'd carried since childhood. Growing up in our cedar-shingled house on the hill, everything orbited my little sister, Lila. I was the kid who color-coded her notes and never missed curfew. Lila was the one who got standing ovations for mediocrity. When I was 15, I asked for $600 to join a robotics intensive in Boulder. Dad said, "Figure it out yourself, character building." 3 months later, Lila decided she was serious about music. They bought her a $3,000 violin and private lessons in Manhattan for the summer. I took the Greyhound to camp and slept on a gym floor. No one noticed. I paid my own way through college on scholarships and night shifts at a warehouse. When I graduated with honors, Mom sent a text, "Proud of you," followed by 17 photos of Lila's community theater debut. I stopped expecting applause and started building in silence. After graduation, I moved to Portland, stacked every overtime dollar, lived on rice and determination, and saved $45,000. Then the idea hit. Software that slashed empty miles for independent truckers. Real problem, real demand. I just needed seed money to finish the platform. I flew home believing proof would finally outweigh birth order. It didn't. "It's too risky," Dad repeated. Same 3 words he'd used when I was 15, 16, 21. I left their kitchen quieter than I'd arrived. For months later, Mom called, voice sparkling. Lila was launching an artisanal candle empire. They were all in. Co-signing $800,000, leasing her a loft studio downtown, buying a white Range Rover for brand photos. I sat on my fire escape staring at the city lights until they blurred, the math brutal and simple. Everything too risky for me was pocket change when it came to Lila. So I bet on myself the only way left. I cashed out my 401k, took a second on my microscopic condo, and poured every cent into Nexus route. We rented a damp basement office that smelled like old carpet and hope. I hired Diego, a wizard dev who believed in the vision, and Sarah, who could charm a skeptical fleet owner over bad coffee. We built, we broke, we rebuilt. 18-hour days turned into 20-hour days. One night our biggest pilot partner ghosted us the same week the server bill bounced. I almost folded. But I kept hearing my father's bored voice, "Too risky." And I kept coding. Then out of nowhere, a regional hauler in Nevada signed for 2 years prepaid. We screamed, hugged, ordered terrible Chinese food, and paid rent for the first time without panic. That's when the calls from Denver started. Mom first, voice trembling. "The studio loan is underwater. Banks are circling. Harper, if you could just wire $120,000. Dad grabbed the phone. "We sacrificed for you girls. Time to step up." Lila texted novels about family loyalty and how I was finally in a position to give back. I said no. They didn't accept it. One gray October morning my doorbell rang. I opened it to find all 3 of them on my narrow porch. Dad furious, Mom clutching tissues, Lila in oversized sunglasses like she was hiding a hangover or a black eye from reality. They walked in without asking and delivered the ultimatum. Sell the condo, bail them out, or be the daughter who let her family go homeless. Lila added, "You're being cruel." I looked at the 3 people who had taught me, since birth, that my dreams were optional and theirs were mandatory. Something quiet and clicked. "Let me make this clear," I said, voice low but steady. "You told me my company was gambling when I had contracts in hand. You called Lila's scented wax Ponzi scheme a sure thing. You chose. Now I'm choosing. The condo stays. Nexus route stays. I stay solvent, sane, and done carrying the version of family that only flows one way." Dad's face went purple. Mom wailed. Lila called me a word I won't repeat. I opened the door. "Leave," I said. And don't come back until you can say my name without needing something after it. The door shut. The lock turned. The silence on the other side of it was the loudest sound I'd ever loved. 6 months later, Nexus Route is cash flow positive, 12 employees strong, and moving to a glass-walled office with actual windows. My old condo sold, for double what I paid, because the market finally rewarded someone who waited. I bought a small house with a porch and a lemon tree. My parents' house sold at auction. Lila's Range Rover disappeared overnight. I heard they all moved into a 2-bedroom apartment off Colfax. No one calls anymore. Some nights I sit on my new porch barefoot, coffee going cold, and I don't feel triumph or vengeance. I feel light. The kind of light you only get after carrying something way too heavy for way too long. And finally setting it down for good. If you've ever had to close the door on people who should have opened every door for you, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. You're not heartless. You're just finally beautifully free.